Now, the nice thing about Discipline Agile is we get a lot of different life cycles that go along with it. With most Agile life cycles, we're often only given one life cycle to complete our work. But with Discipline Agile, we're given options for how we want to approach the cadence of our work based off of our goals and context. Now, because I believe an entire session could be dedicated to the different life cycles of Discipline Agile and their usage, I'm only going to touch on each one of these today. Our first life cycle is probably the best place to start. This is our Discipline Agile delivery life cycle, Agile approach. And the Agile approach is very similar to what you see in Scrum, which is why we typically point teams to start here with the life cycle. It allows you to be agile, flexible, but it also gives you some guardrails for teams that are just starting out in Discipline Agile. Now, our next life cycle is the Agile life cycle, but this is the continuous delivery life cycle. So this is for teams who have progressed maybe through the first life cycle. They've developed some good practices and principles, and they've essentially have continuous delivery. So they've taken out the inception phase and the transition phase. Now, this is a really good life cycle to use when there is a solution that can be delivered to the stakeholders frequently and incrementally, when work is relatively stable within the iteration, when the organization is streamlined with their practices and procedures, and then with a team that is mature, has mature DevOps practices, and then also really a great place for long-standing stable teams. In this next life cycle, it's the life cycle for DAD Lean. And the DAD Lean life cycle promotes lean principles such as minimizing work in process, maximizing flow, and a continuous stream of work instead of fixed iterations, along with reducing bottlenecks. New work is pulled from the work item pool when the team has capacity. While other frameworks might prescribe the use of set ceremonies like daily coordination meetings, iterations, planning sessions, retrospectives to be done at a certain cadence within the iterations, Lean doesn't prescribe to that overhead and instead suggests it can be done if and when it's necessary. This requires a degree of discipline and self-awareness not usually found on teams new to Agile. So this life cycle is considered an advanced approach. Now, while lean concepts like Kanban are easy to learn, it can be difficult to master the principle of lean flow and deploying this life cycle without guardrails. In this next life cycle, we see an even more advanced life cycle. So this is our lean life cycle with continuous delivery. It supports the goal of delivering increments of the solution in a more frequent manner than the other life cycles. Teams typically evolve into this life cycle from either the lean life cycle or the continuous delivery Agile life cycle. It also requires a mature set of practices around continuous integration and deployment in order for this to be practical. And also requires technical infrastructure and an advanced disciplined DevOps practice to support this approach. Next, we have our exploratory lifecycle, our lean startup. And in this life cycle, it's based off of lean startup principles with strategies for complex adaptive systems. The aim of this life cycle is to minimize upfront investments in solutions in favor of small experiments that are market tested and measured early and often during the project. Last but not least, we have our program lifecycle, our teams of teams. Some of the benefits and features of working as a team of teams or from a program level is each team can choose their own WOW, their way of work, and their preferred life cycles. This way, the team tailors their approach to working with the life cycle. You can transition to teams that deliver continuous value instead of teams delivering projects. If we worked in teams of teams within an initiative, we would work from a product or improvement backlog, ideally one that's been identified and prioritized, has identified or prioritized its MBIs, its minimum business increments. Doing so reduces waste, encourages autonomous teams, and increases productivity. Essentially, we could stop starting work and start finishing value delivery that can be quickly realized within the enterprise. Teams of teams lifecycle encourages continuous delivery, development, and continuous testing, and allows for enterprise agility, allowing us to adjust quickly and efficiently.